Hello there, I'm Scotty, you're not, and welcome back to the channel. I'm here with another bonus review for you, and not only that, welcome back to So Bad It's Good Cinema. Been a while. What was the last one I did? Troll 2? Last year? Been a while. Actually would have been a little bit sooner, because recently I just showed the Grovey The Room. But I didn't do another video on it. I will eventually, and this was not planned for me to do it like this. So I've been going through a cold past few days. Since last Saturday it started, and then once it hit Monday, it just got worse and worse. I was taking medicine for it, but it was a cold. I was coughing, I was sniffling, sneezing. Didn't want to be on camera. The last two things I did, I recorded a Scotty TV for Two Guys and a Girl, or Two Guys Who Go to a Pizza Place, same thing. And you could tell from that video, which would be up on November 1st, 8 a.m. It'll be up. You could tell from that video that it was starting. And then if you watch my latest review for episode 3 of season 3 of Chucky, you can tell it was coming. So that halted me doing videos. I had plans. I was going to cover this earlier because Dead Meat is covered this on the kill count. So I was going to do it earlier, but I was sick. And so I decided to wait till yesterday to do it, to record this. I didn't do it because I spent all day finishing up the very tedious female Myrise. Good God, how many friggin' tag matches do you have to do? But anyway, so here I am, day late and a dollar short from when I planned on doing it. But we're talking about the toxic Avenger. Like I said, this was not planned as a So Bad It's Good, but after watching this and watching the kill cam for it, the more and more I thought about it, you know, trauma is the definition of So Bad It's Good. Like, the more and more I thought about all the stuff in this movie, the more I realized it. I mean, this is one of the better So Bad It's Good movies. It's not one of those, oh my God, like, when you watch The Room and you wish you didn't press play as soon as Tommy Wiseau walks in going, "Hi, babe." You know. This is different. So if you don't know, they are coming out with a remake for this, starring Peter Dinklage, who's only playing Melvin to my knowledge. So that's a little bit disappointing, as everybody was saying, oh hey, Peter Dinklage is going to be Toxic Avenger. He's only playing, I don't think his name's even Melvin in that version. But story here is Melvin Ferd is picked on by these people at a health club, which he is the janitor. He's thrown into a vat of toxic waste. He turns into the Toxic Avenger, and he starts killing all the bad people in Tromaville. Yes, Tromaville. It's where all these movies take place, because these movies, this is my first viewing of a Troma film. I've seen bits and pieces of what I thought was this one. It may have been the second one, but it was one of them. I don't really remember any of this, though. They used to play these on G4 a lot back in the day. But, you know. So, we start off with this gang that are just the worst gang in the world. I don't mean because they're like terrible at doing their job. No, they're terrible people. They go out and kill people for fun. Like, they're going around, oh hey, you get this, like, I can't say what they're saying, but like, basically black people, Chinese people, Mexicans, children, you get so many amount of points for it. To that, the first kill in this movie is this kid that just, first of all, this kid is supposed to be with his sister, but this one looks like she's 40. No, I'm not saying that you didn't have that big of a difference. I mean, there's like a 20-year difference between Vera Farmiga and her sister, Thaisa Farmiga. There's a 20-year difference there. So there can be a big difference. There's an 11-year difference between me and my brother. But, you know, I don't know. She looks, they just got her actress or actors. Most of these are just people that they put in the role. Like the guy who plays the Toxic Avenger, the super former guy, Mark Cohen. He's not really an actor. He was a producer or something. He actually has a cameo. I found this out thanks to the Dead Meat Kill Count. He has a cameo in Clerks. He's the guy when Dante's girlfriend Veronica, when she leaves and he pops out the door and says, "Hey, try not to suck any dicks on the way to the parking lot," and the guy walks off. Hey, you come back here. He's the guy. He's the guy. So yeah, that's the Toxic Avenger. Remember that next time we watch Clerks. So yeah, so we get this place would not be the best place to work out. Everybody is there. Is this the place to be? I squeaked. Is this the place to be in Tromaville? The gym, or whatever you call it, health spa? I don't know. But didn't you have Mark Torgl playing Melvin, who's gone on to sort of appreciate this role, despite the fact that I think he's only in this one. And he was actually in like a knockoff film called Toxic Tutu. I've never seen it, but it's got the marks of an independent film. It has both Darcy from Joe Bob's Last Drive-In and Sean C. Phillips, cool dude. So it got the mark of independent film. But yeah, and Torgl plays the role like he's a big doofus. It almost feels, and you know, this is 2023 logic, almost 40 years later, that maybe, just maybe, Melvin is on the spectrum. You know, that he's autistic or has some kind of disability. He's not at 100% there, you know. And these people, they pick on him and they, you know, they trick him. This woman, she tricks him into meeting her at 7 o'clock by the pool, which the house bar wouldn't be open at 7 o'clock. I feel like it'd be, I don't know. And he has to wear the pink tutu because that's the mark of that's the costume of the Toxic Avenger, right? He wears the pink tutu with the polka dot things. He shows up, and it's a trick, and you know, he ends up making out with a goat or a sheep or whatever it is, and then he gets flung out the window. Concurrently with what I just explained is these two guys carrying toxic wastes, a truck of toxic waste, which are very safely contained in uncovered barrels, because that's a thing. If you were carrying toxic waste, you're not hauled around in uncovered barrels, but we gotta have it movie. So they show up, and they park the car on the side of the building, because they want to take a break. They say, hey, we got to deliver this, though. Come on. Remember that dope we snorted the other day? Yeah? Well, look at this. And he's got a big bag. And this is one of the most ridiculous. Like, at one point, he's got the bag. And he's going into the bag. I'm like, I've never done coke, but I'm pretty sure that's not how you do it. And then at one point, after Melvin is pushed, ends up jumping out the window, and he lands in a toxic waste, you see them pop their heads up, and it's all, both their faces are covered in white. I'm like, no, you're doing it wrong. I swear, you're doing it wrong. This is like if Tony Montana just went nuts in this pile of cocaine in Scarface, and just like, set it up to me. And then came up, and it was just all, I don't know. My glasses fell off. That's what the sound was, just so you know. But yeah, I don't know. So this burns Melvin and makes him grotesque. When the policeman tries to help, he gets burned and his hand sets on fire. Well, Melvin's not, and then he gets set on fire. As I said that, I'm like, oh, wait, that doesn't make any sense. How would toxic waste make you go aflame? I don't know, but he runs back to his house and he bars himself in his, barricades himself in his room, and you can hear him screaming. He's in pain, and his flesh is searing. And his mom, who I thought was the lady from Ready to Rumble, the neighbor. I wear a small, extra small or whatever. But there's been other movies too, but I don't think it was her. But she's like, my son's finally going through puberty. I'm like, it wouldn't hurt like that. Pretty sure. I don't know. Sometimes you have growing pains in your legs. I never felt that because I didn't grow much. But, yeah, and then she sees his face and gets scared, so he runs off to the junkyard and lives in this house he makes, which is full of asbestos, but I guess he can't die now. Let's introduce you to the villains. First of all, we got Cigar Face. Yeah. And his two sidekicks, Knuckles and Nipples. And I kid you not, Nipples is, I think, supposed to be a gay guy. There were two gay guys at the opening. But this, he's wearing a wig, which I think is supposed to be his actual hair, and he's just so weird. And Cigar Face, of course, he has a cigar in his face, and there's this cop, right? And the cop, they're trying to bribe the cop doesn't want any of it, so they just start to attack this cop, but Toxie shows up, which is affectionately called by the fans, so I'll call him that. You call him Melvin, I guess, but Toxie shows up. And this is where I got very frustrating. For the entire first hour of the movie, you do not see Toxie's face. You see him from behind, you see him from underneath, you see him by the legs. You do not see his face until an hour into the film. It's only an hour, maybe less than an hour. Maybe like, with 30 minutes left, you see his face. Otherwise, it's all just, and it's very obvious that, Mark Cohen is only just doing the physical performance. Someone else is doing the voice. Because it's very obvious that he's being overdubbed. Especially in the scenes where you don't see his lips move, and you just see his body. You can tell it's weird. The guy does two separate voices. He sounds very deep, like this, when you can't see him. But then, when you see his face, he sounds like this. But I did say this about the villains, so after he kills Knuckles and Nipples, Cigar Face gets away, and we find out that the mayor, this big fat guy, who is basically J.D. Hogg if he was an actual threat to anybody. No one's afraid of J.D. Hogg. And his assistant, the sheriff, who could be his rascal, but this guy's obviously a Nazi because he refers to him as my mayor. And at one point he does, I'm like, oh, okay, what are we doing with this character? Also, they have him do what is effectively a German accent, also with a New York, New Jersey type accent, because it's kind of mixed. I don't know. And the one cop that was saved also does like an Irish accent mixed with the New Jersey. I don't know. We got more people to die. So we go to the taco shop. Yes, where we get some of the most ridiculous kills you ever seen. First of all, this game that comes in. Frank, this big black dude. Ooh, I think he has an eye patch. Maybe not. I swear I've seen him before, but I guess not. And there's two other guys. I don't remember the other guy, but I remember him. You call me Frank. Well, I think one was called Rico. But him and Nick Huts Havoc, they killed this blind girl's seeing eye dog. Which we see a shot later, and the dog, it's obviously they just put the effect on the dog. The dog is still breathing, which is fine, but they obviously couldn't afford to make a makeup effect, like a fake dog corpse. So they just put the effect on the living dog who's still breathing, because dogs, they can't act like that. So I don't think so. And when Toxie shows up, he clears these guys out. And how does he do it? Oh boy. Oh, first of all, I want to tell you about one of the first shots of this, which made me start thinking that this movie was not normal. You see this fat guy, one of the employees, reach down into the front of his pants, like where his crotch is, and pull out a bottle of hooch and just start drinking it. Then this guy proceeds to make and serve tacos to people. That's unsanitary. That's one of the first shots we see. I'm not eating this taco place. It's also gross later when you see that the law enforcement shows up and starts eating all the tacos. First of all, people are dead. You just eat tacos. Anyway, Toxie shows up to take care of these guys. He deep fries this one guy's hand and leaves him there. He wraps this metal thing around him, deep fries the guy's hands. Apparently that kills him, because later when the cops show up, he's dead. And I'm just like, what? How did he die from having his hands deep fried? He'd be in pain, but he'd still be alive. There's no way. There's no way you die from that. There's no way. But unlike that, one of the other guys gets turned into a ice cream sundae, and then with the shake machine in his mouth, gets killed that way. Blood squirts out. Oh, wait, it's not blood, is it? It's grenadine from my ice cream treats. And then you have Frank's death, which he gets shoved into a pizza oven, into a pizza oven. I don't know how he'd fit in there, but yeah. Then we get a weird scene that made me go, yeah. Because we cut to Toxie taking a piss on the wall in an alley. And this guy comes up with this little girl, and I'm like, he's like, hey, you want a good time with a hot young thing? And I'm like, how old is this girl? And then we get the answer. I didn't want the answer. We get an answer, and he goes, she's 12 years old, and it's only $12. And I went, uncomfortable. But this guy gets killed, and then, he gets attacked first by Toxie. And then all of a sudden, he calls his boys, right? And it seems to be like 6 other guys that come out of this car like it's a clown car, and they get beaten up. Only 2 of them die, though. I don't think even one guy gets killed. But he does save the girl. They drive off. I should mention that Toxie and the blind girl, Sarah, they become an item. Why is it that disformed superheroes like Toxie and the Thing could only find love with blind people who can't see what they really look like? Oh, it's about what they are on the inside. If that's what it's about, then they should be able to see who they're in love with. If it's about what's on the inside, then it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't, they should be able to see him. And they do the joke, because of course they have to, where she's like, oh, you have big arms. And then she goes down to his crotch. She's like, oh! He's like, ugh. And yes, there is a sex scene later. So because Toxie is killing off all these bad guys, the mayor, who I mentioned before is crooked, doesn't like this. And so he decides he needs to find a way to hunt them down. At one point, Cigar Face does return, and with a group of people, but Toxie, smartly, as they go to shoot him, because everyone has a gun pointed at him, he jumps up into the fire escape and they all die, except for Cigar Face, because apparently he comes back in the sequel, which would be interesting, because I thought he was dead. And then James, Dead Meat, mentioned he comes back in the sequel, and I'm like, oh, okay, can't wait for that. I will do the sequels eventually. I don't know how much. I don't know if I'm gonna do them all in a row, because I just don't know if I could take doing all 4 of these in a row. So then we get the scenes of him getting revenge on those people that hurt him. First of all, he takes the dark-haired woman that he saw having sex with the guy named Slug earlier. We get to see some titties. It's always nice in a horror film to see titties, you know. And I know a lot of actresses that go through, stuff for sex scenes. Apparently, this sex scene was not directed well enough because it just looks like they're rolling on top of each other. Like she's rolling on top of her. It doesn't look like she's going up and down or anything. She's just, or whatever. It's not very good. It's better than, being fucked in your belly button, like in The Room. God. By the time I decide to do an episode of this for that, I'm going to have to rewatch it again. I don't want to. Anyway. So, he takes this chick, and they show these hot rocks for the sauna. He puts her on top. This is not a kill. Now, I know I had I said earlier with the hand thing. The deep fried hands thing is not a kill. But they showed him dead. They don't show her again dead. So, I am obligated to say that she is not dead. Cannot sit down for a while. I mean, all the other ones are presumably dead. But I don't think that your ass getting to sit on the hot rocks could kill you. I'm sorry. I don't. By the way, before this happened, she was masturbating. I don't know why I said it like that. Masturbating. She was playing with herself. Yes. Maybe because that was the first time I ever said it on camera. She was playing with herself. She was, going to Finger Town. She was poking the hole, And apparently the actress said it was very uncomfortable because it's supposed to be a closed set. And it wasn't. And apparently, someone gave her phone number after that. They were done with that scene. And that's the yikes. That's sleazy. But that's also trauma. I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying, 1980s, did you know? 1980s indies films have the best track record for stuff like that. Glad it's better now, Anyway, after she doesn't die, he chases the other woman, the one that lured him into the trap, into the basement, and we just get a terrible screen, off screen, and we're led to believe she's dead. And then he chases the other two, Slug and Bozo. Yes, those are their names. Throws one out of the car and then drives the other one off a cliff, and he survives. And then we get a baffling scene, because we're not sure what to make of it. He goes to a laundromat, or a dry cleaners, and attacks this little old lady. For no reason. And even he, has a moral dilemma, like, what have I done? And it's brought up to the people, oh, what? No, he's a good person. Why would he do that? But that is explained to us by the Nazi cop that she was actually the head of the human trafficking ring, which I assume is linked to the little girl. Which, I feel like Toxie should have known that, or is that part of his powers now? By the way, Toxie, it's not an issue, but it's a little confusing. After Melvin is thrown into toxic waste, he's now taller, stronger, and smarter? How does toxic waste do that? I don't know. He talks more smart. I should mention that the sex scene with him and Sarah happens. It's less graphic. You don't really see tits or anything. It's just, but it's more well done. It actually looks like they're having sex instead of just rolling around on each other. Or whatever the first one was, but, Because of this, the mayor, by the way, the mayor says that, the little old lady, we can get him without anyone saying anything because he's he just killed this old lady. And then the German cop guy is like, oh, we found out she's the head of the trafficking ring. I don't know what. Of the trafficking ring. And, he says it pretty loud, but then everyone is still like, no, we can't kill him. So their solution is to run away, right? So they decide that hiding in the middle of the woods, hiding in a clearing in the middle of the woods where everyone can fucking see you is a smart option. In a big white tent. That's not drawing attention to yourself. And what's more is that the cops find them because they're walking around outside. She's in some weird, sexy bathing suit. Oh, by the way, she's blind, right? So most of the comedy of her is that she can't see and just falls down. She does say that without her dog, she can't do anything. She's always falling down. Even in the climax, this is the climax where she's falling down, looking for Melvin or Toxie. But so the mayor calls in the National Guard, right? And the National Guard comes in, they're all ready to do it, and the governor tells him to capture Toxie, and he plans on killing him. And when he gets there, he's like, we gotta get him. No, we're supposed to capture him, right? You know. And so Toxie comes out, and he, you know, well, first of all, the kid's getting away, so you can't kill him. Then the other townspeople of Tromaville, including that Irish cop guy and the ice cream guy that was talking earlier, tell him they can't. Toxie comes out, spreads them away, and then he's like, you're fat, but let's see if you have guts. He punches through the mayor's stomach, and he pulls out some guts, which just looks pretty good. But the funny thing is, he gives it to him. The guy grabs the guts and shoves it back in, but then dies anyway. I'm like, okay. This movie. Meanwhile, Sarah's falling down in the background. Because funny! Blind person falling down is funny. Being sarcastic, of course. And then they both start yelling for each other. And they hug. And then they say that the Toxic Avenger is going to protect Tromaville for many more bad people. That's the end of the movie. This is so bad it's good. It is definition of that. But I would also say that if I was rating this on a normal scale, it would be pretty good. I kind of enjoyed this. But there is no... Like, this is probably the most tame we're going to get. I feel like as we go further into the franchise, it may get more so bad as good than this. This is decent. But I feel like with trauma movies, you have to call them so bad it's good, which is why it's in this category. But yeah, it's the first time watch for me. I'd heard about Toxic Avenger before. Like I said, I've seen bits and pieces of one of them. Not sure which one it is. And I first heard about Toxic Avenger on a show called Beat the Geeks. It was a game show on Comedy Central back in the late to mid-90s. Where you had a host, and then you had contestants who would have to ask questions of four different geeks, three of which were regulars: the music geek, TV geek, and the movie geek. And then there'd be an extra geek, like the one that was circulating on YouTube for a while was the one with the Michael Jackson geek. And there's like a Simpsons geek, I think, at one point. There's a bunch of them that just were bonus ones, but yeah, there was a thing for Citizen Toxie during that time. They were talking about it. So, yeah, this movie was directed by Lloyd Kaufman under a different surname, and his partner, Michael something or other. They both directed this, but then the Michael guy is like, I don't know if I'm cut to doing that. I don't have any kind. I don't want to talk to the actors, that sort of thing. So, Lloyd Kaufman was going to do a lot of things. So, yeah. Including running Troma, which he still does to this day at 77 years old. So, yeah. So, what are your thoughts on the Toxic Avenger? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. I'm planning on doing the rest of these in the future, so hopefully I can do that. So, thank you for watching. I'm Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.